What is up, Big Red Reviews here, back again with another video. Guys, Deadpool Wolverine is here. I have finally seen it. I had to wait till Monday. So if you guys don't know quick, I was in Chicago for a family reunion that happens every year. Deadpool Wolverine got pushed back until the end of July, and I usually go with my friend Alicia to these movies, so I was like, screw it, I'll wait till Monday. I could only go on Instagram, and that was even pushing it. I was barely on social media for a weekend. It was actually pretty nice. But I was into the city and stuff, and all my friends were seeing Deadpool, and they kept asking me if I've seen it yet, and that it was amazing, and that they know I'd like it, and I was just losing my mind. And I finally got to see this movie, and guys, this is just peak. I do want to say quickly also, thank you so much for the support. My videos are doing like, the past 5 videos almost all have above 100 views, which is like crazy to me. So thank you guys so much for the support. All the new viewers, old viewers, friends, people I don't know. Thank you so much. But let's get into this movie, guys. Deadpool and Wolverine. Was it everything we hoped for? Yes, it was. We're not going to get into spoilers yet. I will say when we go into spoilers. But for right now, let's just talk about the stuff that we already know. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is just like how RDJ is Iron Man, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He fundamentally understands his character. He understands his weaknesses. He understands his strengths, and he plays these perfectly. I loved every second of this movie, guys. Sean Levy and Hugh Jackman, I mean, Sean Levy's direction in this film is so good. The action is great. The shots are great. There's some really good shots in these films. And then obviously, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' chemistry is second to none. You can even see it in interviews and all the promotional stuff for this film, but their chemistry is so amazing. And one thing I really love about this movie, and I'll talk about this more in the spoiler section, is this movie respects what has been and what is going to come, if that makes sense. Obviously, this is like this movie, you know, there's a lot of Fox characters in it, and obviously they make jokes and stuff, but at the end of the day, it really is like a love letter to those films and how they were, you know, some of the first superhero films and what they meant to people, and it was really touching, and I can't say much more without spoilers, so I'll talk about that in a sec. The MCU connections in this film, and this was like the first time in a while I was like so nervy to watch a movie. Like, probably ever since No Way Home, where I'm just like, oh my god, let's get to the theater, hurry the fuck up, like I'm losing my mind. And just seeing everyone in the theater come together, everyone was laughing. There were a couple sad scenes in it, and just that was, and like people, and most importantly, people talking about this movie. Obviously, after anything Marvel, people talk, but like this was like Endgame levels of people talking about this movie. I mean, the whole car ride home, I'm talking about this movie with my friends, right? It just felt so good to be like this with Marvel again, and I'm truly excited for what they're doing in the future. But you know, that will be for another video. The story was surprisingly well done, and the cameos, without spoiling who is in this movie, are really well done. Now, obviously, cameos are, you know, you can do whatever you want with them, but they're always going to be there for audience sake. But the way that some of these cameos are used do actually impact the story, and they're not just there to be like, wow, you know, but they're cool nonetheless. Villain was pretty good too. I mean, you already know her. She's Charles Xavier's sister. We know this from the trailer. She was phenomenal. I really like the actress. This is a film where it's funny because like you can almost turn your brain off and just like have fun. But then again, there is some really good nerd shit going on in this movie where you're like, oh fuck, that's so cool. I was geeking out, and the jokes do hit. You know, obviously Deadpool is humor based, and the jokes really do fucking hit. There was probably a few jokes obviously I didn't hit, but like I was laughing the majority of the time, and the theater was too. I was like, there were a couple jokes where I was honestly dying, and I think that's because the joy about Deadpool and him breaking the fourth wall is he's almost like the viewer, like, and like he makes fun of nerds, but like he says shit that like I've said to my friends before, right? Overall, this is a great movie, guys. I mean, even if you haven't seen the Fox films, watch this movie, obviously. But it is better if you have at least some knowledge of the Fox films. I do want to get into spoilers right here. Oh, I'm going to give the movie like a 9.5 out of 10, by the way. Basically, 10, fuck it, 10 out of 10. Like I've said before, my 10 out of 10s obviously aren't perfect, but it's movies that I seriously like fuck with, and I do think that are worth it and lived up to the hype. 10 out of 10. Fuck the haters. Now we're getting into some spoilers, guys. If you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and click away. Or if you have, you know, if you don't want to hear me yap, I guess click away too. But, this movie is all about Wade, and as we know, at the end of Deadpool 2, he kind of went through time to save his friends and save Vanessa's life. And now it's funny because right off the bat, we see him at Logan's grave. And it's funny because right before I went to go see this movie, I'm like, hey, my friend Casey, I was like, Casey, do they like disrespect Logan or anything? And Casey just laughed. He's like, you'll see. Logan, the movie Logan is like a central theme of this movie, especially since, and, you know, like I said, we're in the spoiler section. We do see X-23 later in the film, and you know, this Wolverine that that we actually follow, is kind of similar to the Logan Wolverine, where he's like, oh, I let everyone down, like all the mutants are dead, and then X-23 is able to help him and all that. It was really cool. But we just see a montage of him going to see different Wolverines, and we see him killing TVA agents with like the adamantium bones of Logan. It was so fucking funny. And he does Bye Bye Bye, which is so good. And like the dance, it's just funny. Like, oh, we knew this was coming because every intro to a Deadpool movie has music, action, and like really cool credits, and I really like that. But then we get to see him go to 616. If he can go through timelines and stuff, and he goes to 616 and he meets with Happy in 2018, which hit me a little later than it should have. But this was like either right after Infinity War or right before Infinity War, because it's 2018. And they mentioned how RDJ doesn't do cameos, and it's just Happy, and he's trying to be an Avenger and stuff, and that was really funny too. But like you really get through all the jokes, you do get the sense that like Wade really wants to just like prove himself and be his own, especially for Vanessa's sake, because he doesn't want to let Vanessa down. And that's like the whole internal struggle of the movie. Just he is cracking jokes and stuff, but there are scenes where even Logan really digs into him about you have a fat mouth, but you really are blah blah blah, all this stuff. And it was really interesting to see that. I'm glad they let Wade's character open up a bit, even if a joke was coming right after. We obviously get some cameos and stuff in the beginning. We see Hulk. They really tease the Wolverine versus Hulk, and I really hope they pay that off in Secret Wars. I will say this movie doesn't really set up a lot of stuff, at least from what I can see. The end credit scene didn't really set anything up. It was funny though, which I'll get to, but it was more just, like I said, this was like almost the end game of the Fox universe, where it was putting everything on a bow. Obviously it's a Deadpool 3, but it's wrapping up this whole Fox thing, and you end up meeting Paradox, who works for the TVA, and you actually do find out that he's in the TVA, but he's like a subsection that he doesn't agree with what happened in Loki, where they stopped pruning timelines, so he's trying to do that himself, and that's basically the whole plot of the movie, where Wade's timeline is dying. And I love the allegory that the Wade's timeline is like the Fox timeline, like it's dying, and I love that Marvel respects that, and like at the end of the movie, they save the timeline. So I love that they're just not saying, fuck the Fox timeline, fuck the X-Men movies and all that, and the Fantastic Four movies and all that, and that that those things happen, but now let's move on, right? I think it was a good move from Disney to do that, and you can tell Ryan really cared for these movies and stuff, and that he really wanted to pay homage to that. All right, guys, Editor Joey here. Two things that I forgot to mention in the video that I do want to mention here. One, the cameo of Henry Cavill as Wolverine was fantastic. He actually fit the role of Wolverine very well, and I wouldn't be mad if they used him later. But I love how they allude to how Disney how DC fucked him over or fucked him over and all that stuff, and that was a really cool scene. But also the point of an anchor person. So we find out that like an anchor is basically someone who dies in a universe, and that causes their timeline to eventually erode away. And in this case, in the Fox's timeline, it was Wolverine dying at the end of Logan, which I really love how they made Logan like the centerpiece, because that movie is fantastic, and like it was like a love letter to Hugh and stuff. So him dying basically caused the timeline to eventually, thousands of years from now, erode, but then the main guy, Paradox, wanted to just say fuck it and erode it now to get it over with type thing. So I forgot to mention that very important point. It's going to be exciting to see if they use that moving forward, who the MCU's anchor thing is. I do think it's Iron Man, but we can see. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. So we basically find out that the Wolverine that he picks let down his entire world. He gets sent to the Void, which is from Loki, and we see Deadpool and Wolverine fight, and it was amazing. I love how Deadpool looks at the camera. Also, probably the second funniest joke in the movie to me is in the scene where he's getting told about the MCU and the Avengers and stuff, and he runs away from Paradox and he grabs the camera and he says, "Fuck you, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland," and he takes the mic and just starts screaming in it. That shit killed me. That was so fucking unexpected and so funny. And basically we get into the Void, and we see the first and probably one of the biggest holy shit moments, like cameos. We see Chris Evans as Captain America. But no, this is actually Johnny Storm. He says "Flame on," and I love this reveal. It's like, oh, Chris Evans, it's obviously going to be Captain America, right? And it's funny because they play the Avengers Endgame where he's like, he's going to say it, and Deadpool's like, he's going to say it. He's like, oh, Avengers Assemble. He's like, "Flame on." And that just 180'd the cameo. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, do cameos in a smart way. And that was perfect. Just seeing Johnny Storm again, like seeing Chris Evans. And Chris Evans is in the movie for like 10, 15 minutes. And it's just gold. I love it. I mean, hearing him say the F word especially was like, what the fuck? But that was amazing. You see all these older X-Men cameos. You see Sabretooth. You see Juggernaut, you see all these people, and then you get to Cassandra's thing, which is in an Ant-Man building, and they basically escape, blah, blah, blah. And that's where you find out that, Wade just, him and Vanessa did break up, which you knew from earlier in the film, and that he's, like, struggling with that, and that he wants to be something for her, too. And then we get the first Deadpool variant, which is, like, nice Deadpool, and he just says, sorry, like, in Canadian, and he has Dogpool with him, and this guy's just a running joke in the movie, because Deadpool, like, really wants to kill this guy and just take his dog. Then we see the next big set of cameos, which is Elektra. We see X-23, which was great too. The two big ones in this, obviously besides Elektra, is Channing Tatum as Gambit. Now, if you guys don't know, Channing Tatum wanted to play Gambit. He was trying to make this movie for literally 10 years, and it just never happened, sadly. And then we have Wesley Snipes as Blade. This was the biggest what the fuck to me, because if you don't know, Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds, like, hated each other for years. They did, I think it was, like, Blade 3, and they hated each other. They never talked to each other. And to see them, like, squash that that beef and then have him in this movie was really great. And that was really surprising. But these guys, they were just gold. I mean, Deadpool's interactions with them. Gambit, like, has some, like, that the whole joke is you don't really know what his accent is, and Deadpool's like, who's your fucking dialect coach, right? You like, it's so funny. And then Blade, Wesley Snipes still has, I mean, he was badass as fuck in this movie. Elektra was still badass. They make some Punisher jokes and stuff, and they're really riffing on those movies. But then, you really get some good scenes, slow scenes. Like, you see X-23 talking to Logan, and she's like, and he was like, I'm not the right person for this job. And she's like, you're never the right person for the job. You still got it done. And it was really like, it felt like closure for the OG Logan, if that makes sense. Because, Logan dies in the movie Logan and the kids get away, but, like, Logan will never know exactly what happened. So, like, having her tell this Logan stuff that she wished she could tell the old Logan was great. She's like, you helped us. You sacrificed yourself and let me live a life. I've lived a great life. You let the other kids live a life. I felt that was really great. So yeah, and then they get this team together and they go assault Cassandra Nova's place, and you just see some great fight scenes. The fight scenes in the movie are incredible too. And you get this funny line of Blade when he's on the top of the car. He's like, "There's only one Blade, motherfucker," and Deadpool just looks at the camera because they're making another Blade. One thing I did forget to mention is my favorite joke in the movie, just because it's something I do, is where you see Eliath and Deadpool's like talking to everyone. He's like, "Oh my god, that's Eliath, previously seen in Loki season 1 episode 5. That shit killed me, because I literally do that to anyone I watch Marvel movies with. I'm like, "Oh my god, that's from season 1 episode 5 of Loki, blah blah." I love that shit, and it's just so cool seeing the world of Loki. Like, and this is what I missed about old Marvel, is like, it reward, like, you don't have to see Loki, but it rewards you for seeing these things. Like, obviously from, like, that's 2021 to 2021 to the beginning of 2023 was pretty rough, right? Because middle of 23 we got Guardians and we got Loki season 2, and obviously we had some stuff in there that was really good, like WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Shang-Chi, but there was some bad, and it felt really disjointed. A Marvel head like me can see that, right? But seeing, and they make fun of that too, and that some of the funniest jokes in the film are him saying, like, he says something, I forgot, I'm gonna butcher this, but he was like, we're coming in a low point of Marvel right now. And then some dude, I think it was in the TVA, he's like, I've actually really liked Marvel past Endgame. That shit was so funny, because these are literally topics that we have in real life, and it can only happen in a Deadpool movie. But, yeah, so that's great. And then they basically go through a sling. I'm not talking about everything, but they basically go through a Doctor Strange portal into Deadpool's world, and this is the finale where she's basically trying to get into this machine that Paradox built so she could run all the timelines and, like, make everything the Void. And you see the threads from Loki season 2, which was really crazy too. You don't see Loki in this film, which I wish we did, but I do think we're gonna see him in Secret Wars and stuff. And the final part of this video is gonna be us, like, theorizing, like, what is gonna happen, or that might be its own separate video. But basically, then she's trying to get in there, and then Deadpool and Wolverine fight all the Deadpools. There's like an army of Deadpools, and so Lady Deadpool is voiced by Blake Lively. You don't see her, but in the credits it is. And the biggest what the fuck Deadpool thing was, the Cowboy Deadpool is voiced by Matthew McConaughey, and it isn't confirmed in the credits, and I love that so much. When I heard his voice, I was like, no fucking way. But you get this sick one take. As you guys know, I fucking love one takes in movies, guys. And you get this sick one take. It almost looks like a Mario level. It's just going like this, and they're jumping on cars and stuff, killing all the Deadpools. And you see some really funny gags, like you miss it, like the driver of the bus, the driver of the bus is like going like this, like scared, and he gets sliced. On the side of the bus, you see Stan Lee, and I really love that. I really love how Ryan really respects Stan Lee and always like includes him in here. And then all the Deadpools just come back alive because they have healing factors and stuff. And then the finale of the movie is just Deadpool really coming to grips with like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice myself to save everyone, but most importantly, like to save Vanessa and show Vanessa that like I do care, right? Because we find out that after Wade gets denied from the Avengers, he kind of goes into a slump, right? And that's like I said, the whole arc of the movie. But it's almost like a Guardians of the Galaxy type ending. If you remember the ending of Guardians where Peter grabs the Power Stone, and he could die, but then all the Avengers grab, or all the Guardians grab it. He's basically trying to pull it apart and like stop everything from happening. But then Wolverine comes in and he gets his suit ripped off and he's just jacked. And you see him like staring at Wolverine's abs, and that shit was funny. And we see B-23 from Loki, so we at least see someone, and I love that we see B-23. She has really good moments in this film, especially with Peter, and everyone in this movie, you could just tell, is having a blast. I mean, Paradox actors having a great time, B-23, Peter, especially Deadpool and Wolverine, everyone just having a blast to be there. The jokes are hitting, the jokes are really hitting, and it was just it was a great time overall. And the movie ends with them saving the world, you know, and Logan is now in Deadpool's timeline, and like I said, there's really no setup for future movies. Now, obviously, if you guys want to go watch New Rockstars, they probably have shit that I missed, and I'll look it up after. But there's even the end credits scene is just like, it's so funny. Is the end credits? So the joke is like, Johnny Storm ended up dying because Deadpool like lied on his name that he said all these things. But then the end credit is like him hacking into a camera, and you see him actually say, Chris Evans say all this crazy shit that Deadpool said earlier, and it's like about like sex and fuck this, fuck that, coming from Chris Evans' mouth. Is just the funniest shit ever. But I almost like that it didn't set everything up, because we obviously know we'll see Deadpool again. We might see Wolverine again, the way things end off, especially with Secret Wars coming around. Like I was explaining to my friends, like Secret Wars is really the finale of the whole multiversal thing. And they poke fun at this in the movie, that like multiverse is just too complicated for the average viewer and this and that, which I do agree with. And we've had a multiverse thing going on for a few years now. So now that Secret Wars is going to be like the finale of that, maybe we can see Hugh one more time and stuff. And I think that'll be a good send-off for all these legacy actors. So, but I really love how this is a bow on the Fox universe. And I really love during the credits, we get this really nice montage, and it almost made me like teary-eyed a little bit, of behind-the-scenes footage from Fox and all that, from like the X-Men films and even the really bad Fantastic Four films and stuff. Not the OG Fantastic Four films. I'm talking about like the 2015 one with Michael B. Jordan. That shit was terrible. But like, you just, I forgot what song's playing, but like you just get like this montage of behind the scenes funny moments of the actors like having fun playing these characters, and it was really touching because it's like Ryan Reynolds and Disney saying like thank you Fox, and like thank you for all these years, like we're not disrespecting this, like this was really something special, and you guys helped pave the way for like, you know, superhero films, and it was really like respectful, and that's what I really loved. But guys, this movie is truly incredible. I mean, this is like peak Marvel. Go see it, please. I'm gonna go see it again. Like I said, I give it a 10 out of 10. I'm really excited to see where Deadpool goes from here, and just the implications of Secret Wars and stuff coming up. I'm really excited to see what's going on. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support lately, too. More videos are coming soon. It gives me the push tomorrow to make more videos. I love you guys so much. Until then, bye-bye.